there is a truth about the market that very few traders ever come to understand, and it is this. The market is not a puzzle to be solved by machines. It is a story being written in real time by the men and women who hold the greatest power over price. My friend, if you have spent years watching colored lines and waiting for signals that seem always to arrive one step too late, then this lesson is for you. Today we are going to talk about how to identify institutional footprints without using indicators. Not one, not a single device, only the market itself, speaking plainly to those who have trained their eyes to listen. Most traders sit before their charts covered in tools that promise clarity. Yet every one of those tools is built from prices that have already been recorded. They show you what the market has done. They cannot show you what the large interests are doing right now, in this very moment, as the tape unrolls before you. This is the great misunderstanding that keeps the public always one step behind. The operators, those large professional interests who run the great campaigns in any market, they do not wait for a signal. They are the signal. They act first, and the evidence of their action appears in price and in activity long before any device built on past figures can reflect it. The student who learns to read these signs directly has placed himself in an entirely different class from the man who waits for permission from a mechanical tool. Let us begin by understanding why the public so often goes wrong. It is not for lack of effort or intelligence. The public studies diligently. They learn formulas and systems. They follow devices that draw lines and flash signals. And yet, season after season, the same story repeats. They buy when the signal says to buy, and just as they enter, the market turns against them. They sell when the signal says to sell, and shortly afterward, the market rises sharply without them. Why does this happen? Because those devices are built from the past. Every figure they produce is calculated from prices that have already been set. By the time a device shows a clear and comfortable signal, the large operator who caused that movement has already done the work. He has already accumulated his position, or he has already begun to distribute what he owns. The signal the public sees is, in truth, the shadow of the campaign already well underway. The large interests do not announce their plans. They do not take out notices in the papers, but they must act in the market, and when they act, they leave marks. These marks are there for any student of the tape to read if he knows what he is looking for. Price and the amount of trading that takes place are the two great witnesses. They cannot be hidden, no matter how carefully an operator tries to conceal his hand. My student, I want you to think of the market as a great auction house. Every day, buyers and sellers come forward with their stock and their money. Most days, the business is orderly and quiet. Prices drift here and there. Not much changes. The public watches and waits, unsure of what to do. But then, without a clear announcement, something changes. Perhaps a stock has been resting in a narrow range for several weeks, barely moving from one day to the next. And then, on a certain day, the character of the market shifts entirely. The number of shares changing hands increases greatly. Price moves with sudden force. This is not an accident, my friend. This is the hand of a large interest at work. When a great operator wishes to acquire a large number of shares, he cannot do so in a single stroke. He must buy quietly over time, absorbing the supply that sellers offer. He works patiently, holding price within a certain range, encouraging the public to sell while he takes in all they offer. This process of taking in supply, of quietly gathering stock, is what we call accumulation. And when it is nearing completion, when the operator has taken in nearly all the stock that was being offered, the character of the market will begin to change. The quiet range will start to show signs of life. Price will make small advances that hold. Activity will pick up on the days when price moves upward and quiet down when price pulls back. These are footprints. These are the marks left by the large interest, visible to any eye trained to see them. The reverse is also true. When a large interest has finished its campaign of buying, when it has driven prices up to a level where it can sell at a great profit, it must now distribute its holdings. It must find buyers for all the stock it accumulated at lower prices. It does this slowly, offering stock to the eager public who have watched prices rise and are now certain the advance will continue. Supply is being placed out to the public. The operator is selling what the public is buying. And again, if you watch price and activity carefully, you will see the signs. Rallies that once carried price forward with ease will begin to struggle. Activity will increase on the days when price falls and quiet down on the days when price tries to recover. These too are footprints. Now, how does a student of the market read these footprints in practice? The first thing to understand is that price itself tells a story through the character of its movement, not only the direction of price, but the manner of that movement. How far does a swing carry? How quickly does it travel? Does it hesitate along the way, or does it move with ease? Does a rally carry through to new highs, or does it fall short of the last peak? Does a decline stop at the same level it stopped before, as if a wall had been placed there? Or does it pierce through and then quickly return? These questions, my friend, are the entire art. They require no device to answer. They require only an honest eye and a calm mind. Let me give you an example. You are watching a market that has been quiet for some time. Prices have been moving in a narrow band, and then one day, the market drives sharply downward from that range, moves well below a former low, and then within a short time, returns back above that level. On the surface, it looks like a failure. The public who sold on the break will be confused, but the student of the tape asks himself, who was buying while the public was selling? Who was absorbing all that supply? And if the answer is that only a large interest could have bought in such quantities so quickly, and if price returned at once, it suggests that supply has been taken in, that the weak holders have sold, and that now there's less stock available to weigh upon the market. This is what older men of the tape meant when they spoke of a test. The operator drives price into a zone where supply might appear, and he watches to see how much selling comes forward. If the selling is light, if price is quickly recovered, it tells him that supply has been largely exhausted. The campaign can move forward. Let us speak now of levels where supply and demand change hands. This is perhaps one of the most important things you can study on a bear chart. Over time, every market develops certain levels that have meaning. There are prices at which, in the past, strong selling came forward and stopped an advance. There are prices at which, in the past, buying appeared and halted a decline. These levels carry memory. The operators know them. The informed interest has studied where supply and demand have previously been found. When price advances toward a level where heavy supply appeared in the past, the student should watch closely. He should ask, will that supply appear again? Will the advance stall? Or has that supply already been taken in, already absorbed during a period of quiet accumulation, so that now, when price returns to that level, it moves through without difficulty? The answer to that question tells you something of great importance about the condition of the market and the intentions of the large interests. Likewise, when price declines toward a level where support appeared in the past, the student should watch how the market behaves. Does it approach the level with great speed and force, suggesting that supply is overwhelming demand? Or does it approach slowly, on quiet trading, suggesting that only a small number of shares are being offered? If price touches the old support level and buying at once appears, if price springs away quickly and activity increases as the rally begins, then there is evidence that demand is genuine, that a large interest has chosen to defend this level. The great operators run their campaigns in phases. First they accumulate, then they advance, then they distribute, then they allow the decline. And all through these phases, price and activity leave their marks at important levels. The student who has trained himself to read these marks has no need of mechanical devices. He has something far more valuable, an understanding of what is actorally taking place. Now I want to give you a clear and practical routine, my student, something you can apply whenever you sit before a bear chart with nothing on it but price. The first thing you do is mark the important levels. Where has price turned before? Where did a strong advance halt and reverse? Where did a sharp decline find its footing and begin to recover? These are the zones you must know. Mark them simply. They will serve as the landscape through which the market moves. The second thing is to watch how price behaves as it approaches these levels. Does the advance slow as it nears a former top? Do the swings become shorter and more nervous? Does the market hesitate, push forward a little, pull back a little before reaching the level? Or does it arrive with great speed and drive straight through? The manner of approach tells you a great deal about whether the level will hold or give way. The third thing is to pay close attention when a quiet market suddenly becomes active at one of these levels. If price has been drifting toward an old support zone on very light trading, and then, as it arrives at that zone, activity suddenly increases and a strong advance begins. Take note, a large interest has made its presence known. The rare thing is to wait for evidence that the move is either being supported or opposed. A strong advance, once begun, should carry with increasing ease. Reactions within the trend should be quiet and modest. If you see a rally that reaches for a former high and then suddenly meets great opposition, if activity increases sharply as price struggles and then fails to hold, that is evidence of supply. Supply in the hands of those who wish to sell, and the student should take it seriously. The fifth thing, and perhaps the most important, is this: act only when you see both the level and the manner of approach. Agree with your reading of the larger campaign. It is not enough to see an old support zone. It is not enough to see a sudden increase in activity. You must see these things together, in a context that makes sense when you consider the whole story that price has been telling. This requires patience. It requires the habit of reading the market as a whole, rather than reacting to each small movement in isolation. I want to speak now about something that is harder to discuss, but which is just as important as any technical point. I want to speak about what happens inside the mind of a trader who sets aside his mechanical aids and begins to read the market directly. At first, my friend, it is uncomfortable. The devices that the trader has relied upon gave him a feeling of certainty. When the signal appeared, he knew what to do. There was no need to think deeply, no need to form an independent judgment. The device told him, and he followed. When he puts aside those devices, all of that certainty disappears. He looks at a bare chart and at first he sees nothing clearly. The market seems to move without reason or pattern. He feels exposed. He second-guesses himself at every turn. This is a natural and necessary discomfort, and every student who has ever learned to read the tape directly has passed through this stage. The way through it is study and observation. Not reading alone, though reading is valuable, but the keeping of careful notes on what you observe. Sit with the market each day and write down what you see. Note where prices turned, note when activity increased, and what price did in response. Note the levels where supply and demand appeared to change hands. Sketch the shape of the swings on paper if you find it helpful. Build for yourself, over time, a record of the market's behavior, written in your own words and drawn with your own hand. This practice will do something no device can do for you. It will build understanding, real understanding, founded on direct observation, not on blind faith in a signal. And with understanding comes a steadiness of mind that is worth more than any mechanical tool. When you have seen a certain pattern play out many times, in many different markets, and you have studied it and written about it and thought about it, you will begin to recognize it the next time it appears. Not with the cold certainty of a machine, but with the calm confidence of a man who has done his work. That confidence, my student, is the great asset of the winning trader. Not the speed of his signal, but the depth of his judgment. Not the complexity of his tools, but the simplicity of his reading. Now let me bring together the lessons of this talk and state them plainly. The market is moved by large professional interests who run their campaigns over days, weeks, and sometimes months. These interests must buy and sell in great quantity, and no matter how carefully they operate, their actions leave marks in the movement of price and in the amount of trading that takes place. These marks are the footprints of the large interests, and they can be read by any student who has trained his eye and his mind to see them. Mechanical devices and signals built from past prices will always show you what has already happened. They are useful for nothing so much as confirming what a careful tape reader already knows. The student who relies on them alone is always late. He is always reacting to events that the large interests have already set in motion. The true art of reading the market lies in understanding price movement directly. in watching how far a swing carries and with what ease or difficulty, in noting when a quiet market becomes suddenly active, in studying the behavior of price at levels where supply and demand previously appeared, in recognizing accumulation when stock is being quietly taken in, and distribution when stock is being quietly given out. This is not a simple path, my friend. It demands patience, honest observation, and a willingness to think for yourself. But it is the path that leads to genuine understanding, and genuine understanding is the only foundation upon which sound trading judgment can rest. I thank you for your attention today, and I hope that something in this lesson has been of service to you. If you found value in this study, I invite you to continue your education with this channel. There's much more to examine together, and each lesson builds upon the last. Share this talk with any fellow student of the market who you believe would benefit from it. Leave your own observations and questions in the comments below. As a student would leave a note on the teacher's desk, we learn best when we learn together, each contributing what he has seen and considered. Until the next lesson, keep your charts clean, your notes careful, and your mind open. The market will always tell its story. The only question is whether we have trained ourselves to hear it.